Hey guys, welcome back to We Watch Movie. I am Mike, and today we are reviewing 2002's May, because it's May. Clever, I know. This is a movie that I saw way back in the day a long time ago, and I barely remembered anything about, and I'm just scrolling through Tubi, which it's on for free, that you can watch with ads. I'm gonna have spoilers in this, because it's been out for, 21 years or whatever. 22 years. This is why I do YouTube for a living. I can't read. Generally considered including this in my Just Like Scream series because it comes out, 5 years later, and it's got a lot of parallels. I don't think it's quite fitting into that, like I Know What You Did Last Summer, Soul Survivors type of direct correlation to that, so I won't, but I'm just going to say right here that it could fit in there just as well because of the biting satire. There's a lot of meta references to other movies in it, that weird age group that they're in, where they're like, I think most people in this movie are just like right post college or a couple years past high school. If it was a movie that was like a Scream movie, it would be where Scream would be the cool kids. This would be the movie for the outsiders a few years down the road. It's a total movie about being an outsider, about being a loner, about mental illness, and it has fun with how fucked up and dark it is.
Everyone always thought May was different.
Jesus, what are you doing?
Relaxing.
Doesn't it hurt? Ow! You crazy bitch!
Angela Bettis plays May, and it starts out and she's this little girl and she has a lazy eye, and her mom, you can already tell, is just sort of a bitch, and she's like, hey, she puts an eye patch on her and she's like, if you want kids to like you, if you want to make friends, you cover that eye patch up, you disgusting little shit. And she's like, no. And she pulls her hair back and shows the eye patch, and this kid's like, hey, are you a pirate? She's like, no. And he's like, well, fuck you if you don't chew Big Red. And he just walks away. And then we fast forward to the future, and we see her mom being like, well, you know what I always say, if you can't make any friends, make your own friend. And she gives her this doll. She's like, this is your new best friend. And no, it's not an Annabelle situation or a Megan Mathregan situation. She's like, you can't even take it out though. Don't take it out of the case and play with it. It's like, this is the saddest thing ever. The girl's only friend is a doll, and she can't even take it out of the case. And it's not even a pretty doll. It's just sort of a creepy ass doll.
But really, she was just misunderstood.
I need a real friend. Someone I can hold. Don't be mad.
We fast forward again to the future, and we see May today, and she's weird as fuck. She's obsessed with boys and like men or whatever, and then like trying to find a partner. It's got a weird Donnie Darko vibe to it as well. She's sitting like on the park bench and she's just looking at people, and you hear her talking to her doll like one of Kevin Spacey's fucking notebooks from Seven.
I almost didn't notice it had happened, but I suddenly threw up all over him. He was not pleased.
I threw up on a man on the bus today. Her and this entire movie is just, they make their entire statement on just how awkward and uncomfortable can one person make you. It's like the cable guy at the end when Jim Carrey's like, did you really mean to call me buddy?
Am I really your buddy?
Yeah, sure you are.
That is totally hers. If there's a stage 9 clinger, this is a stage 97,000 clinger. Get the fuck out, Joe Johnson! And she fixates on this guy that she sees who's a mechanic, Jeremy Sisto's character. Yes, Elton from fucking Clueless is in this movie, and he's an underrated actor, I feel like. I'll be right back. I left my Cranberry CD in the quad. She fixates on him, particularly his hands. She loves his hands. So she starts getting dressed up, showing up where he's going to be, following him around everywhere he's at, the laundromat. And there's this awfully super uncomfortable scene where he is at a cafe and he falls asleep reading a book, and she just walks up to him. And I'm telling you guys, the whole time you're watching these scenes happen, it's like watching Michael Scott from The Office if he was a horny young girl. She grabs his hand and she's like rubbing her face, and he wakes up. He's like, what the fuck? And she just like falls over and runs away. The interactions between them, where she's so obsessed with him and his hands and uncomfortable, it will just have you just crawling up the back of your fucking couch, man. It's funny as hell and uncomfortable as hell, and it's just where like 90% of the comedy comes from. It's just how awkward May is in this movie and how dark she is. And at one point they're talking, and then in a straight up, this is what I mean by like it feels like kind of like a 90s movie, because he's like, everyone's just so strange and they think they're so out there and cool. And he's like, let me show you my film that I made, my short film I made while in school. And it's like these two people and they're having sex, but then they start eating each other, and it's a zombie thing, and they're like fucking but also eating each other. And she's never like, even kissed a boy until him. And then they start doing it, and then
Oh, I'm bleeding. Hey, this is weird.
You like weird.
Not that weird.
But May's new friend turned out to be just like everyone else.
but he has no fucking clue just how psycho Power Man 5000 she is. And as the movie goes on, you see her getting more and more uncomfortable ass situations that just make you want to crawl out of your skin and die. My wife was like trying to watch her phone or look at her phone and not pay attention, but every once in a while she would just look over and be like, oh my God, I'm so uncomfortable. And I'm like, I fucking know. It's really where part of the entertainment of this film comes from. It's just her walking around like fucking Gollum being like, I want to suck your finger. Jeremy Sisto comes off as like the asshole guy in this movie because she ends up hearing him talk about her and he ghosts her. I mean, he's making a good fucking decision though. Like, he's actually not that in the wrong. He wanted to like her, but then she got fucking cuckoo on him.
I'm sorry things didn't work out between us. It just didn't feel right.
So many pretty parts, no pretty holes.
There's other things that happen to her that are bad too. And as these things happen, her psyche starts to crack. And as her psyche starts to crack, so does the case around May, the doll. So she works at an animal hospital and she works with Anna Faris. And it's really weird. Like, I love Anna Faris. I think Anna Faris is hilarious. Anna Faris was not great in this movie. I don't know. Maybe she's just doing what the role called for, but she's just so fucking weird and out there and strange. Like, every reaction she has, everything. She's super horny and she like really wants to fuck May, and like her whole side story is that like she's just like, in her words, she's like, I gotta tap that. Like, she wants to fuck every girl walking. And eventually she gets her to have sex with her. And they have sex because she's depressed about Jeremy Sisto's character fucking her over. And then they have sex. And then she becomes psycho obsessed with her. There's this crazy ass scene where Anna Faris is trying to seduce her, but also trying to get her to keep her cat. She's like, do you like pussy? And she's like, what? And she's like, pussy cats. And then she makes her dance like in the middle of the office. It's also fucking weird. Weird. She realizes Anna Faris's character wasn't actually in love with her and just wanted to have sex with her because she goes to her house and she's banging this other chick or whatever. And then she just starts to completely break down. Now, when she goes on this date with Elton from Clueless, there's a bunch of kids out there that are blind. And you see them like kind of feeling the way around trees and stuff. It's like a blind daycare. She decides, for some fucking reason, she wants to substitute or like donate her time to helping the daycare of the blind kids. So she goes in there and she's helping them. And there's this one scene where she brings the doll in. And this is where shit just goes fucking butt crack crazy. She goes in there and the kids want to take the doll out and they're blind, so they can't tell what's going on. She kind of loses it. And then the giant glass case drops on the ground and nobody else can get to him in time. And May falls down and there's glass all over the floor and the blind kids don't know it. So they're trying to grab the doll and they're crawling on their hands and knees just through glass. And there's blood everywhere in this daycare center. And these kids are just crawling through glass and it's in their face. It's on their hands. There's blood everywhere. It's one of the most fucked up scenes I've ever seen in a horror movie. And it's not even that gory. It's just the idea of these poor blind kids crawling around on their hands and knees in broken glass. Who the fuck thinks of this shit? The cat won't come to her either because she's just fucking crazy. And she throws an ashtray and murders the cat, puts the dead cat in her freezer. And then she's on the park bench again. And who does she run into but fucking Frank from Donnie Darko? But that guy's good in everything he does. James Duvall, just an underrated actor for sure. And an underrated horror actor as well. But he's like, hey, do you want to go get some juju beads with me? And he's got this crazy punk haircut that actually just looks really gross, like it was dipped in cum. This guy's straight out of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 Secret of the Ooze. I loved him. She takes him back to her apartment and it's the funniest moment in the entire movie maybe. He's just sitting there eating juju beads. And he's like, I love these things. I could live off of them. And he's like, so, it's getting really hot in here. Do you mind if I take off my shirt? And she's like, I don't care. And he's like, awesome. And takes off his shirt and he's like, man, it is really hot in here. Do you mind if I grab some ice cubes that I can rub on my nipples? I swear to fucking God, it just comes out of nowhere. So she's like, yeah. And then he goes to the freezer and she's like, no. Opens the freezer, sees the dead cat. And he's like, oh, what the fuck are you? Like, why do you have a cat popsicle in your freezer? And she's like, oh, do you want to be best friends now since you know about my fridge secret? Because this is just how nuts she is. And he's like, no, why would I want to be your friend, you fucking weirdo? It's like the guy from Orange County. You only went out with him for 2 weeks. And she picks up scissors, stabs him in the brain, and her murder spree hath begunneth. Now, this is like 70-80% into the movie by the time we get to this point. But I appreciate the pacing up to this point because it's every scene, you never know what kind of weird, kooky shit she's going to say and how awkward it's going to be. So you're waiting for the murders to start happening, but it's not, there's not a lack of entertainment or just uncomfortability. And then she goes and she starts to murder everyone. One particular scene that really grossed me out is the way she murders Anna Faris's character, is because Anna Faris is sitting between her legs and she pulls out the scalpel, and Anna Faris's character is so fucked in the head that she's like, oh yeah, I like playing dirty. I know you would never hurt me, right? And she takes the scalpel, as they call it in the movie, the scalpel, and just slowly cuts her throat. And she's just sitting there frozen. And it's just fucked up. The whole vibe of it just made me really uncomfortable deep down in my hoo-haws. She realizes kind of what she wants to do. She wants to create, if you can't make any friends, make your own friend. So she wants to take these parts of people that she's obsessed with and create like the perfect friend for herself. I don't know if she's gonna fuck it or not. It's like in Santa Clarita Died. He's like, we need a dead body. He's like, are you gonna fuck it?
Yes, we're gonna fuck it.
But she takes Anna Faris's neck. She takes that girl's legs. She goes to Jeremy Sisto's house, and he's there with his new girlfriend, and she is just fucking Fast and the Furious 12 uncomfortable. You come over here and touch my face? Please touch my face. And the girl's laughing at him, and Jeremy Sisto's uncomfortable as fuck. Obviously, she ends up murdering them. She takes his hands home, and she creates her doll Odette. And that's her whole thing, is that she creates this doll. And the weirdest shot happens at the very end of the movie when you're just sitting there. She loses her goddamn mind, right? Like, she puts the doll together and she's like, but you can't see me. You can't see me. And she's like, just every man's worst fear, you know, for a girl that you end up on a date with. She is just fucking cuckoo. And she's like, well, you can't see me. You can't see me. It's this, she stitched together a fucking human doll and is upset because it can't see her. So she rips out her own cocksucking eyeball and puts it on the thing. But just as a microcosm of how funny and darkly funny this movie is, she lays down next to it, her eyes just bleeding out, she's crying. And when she moves to snuggle it, the eyeball just quietly just falls off the head and onto her chin. And it's just, I don't know how to explain why it's so funny. It just is. And the whole movie's kind of that way. The monster that she's built's hand comes around and you see Elton's hand just like rub her face. Like, so the monster, I guess, is alive, or this is in her head. I don't know, because that's the end of the movie. That's how May ends.
May.
I give this movie an 8 out of 10. I absolutely love it. It's weird. Some people will fucking hate it. Some people will not get it. Not one bit. Not one tiddlywink. It's dark and fucked up and twisted horror, but it's also darkly comedic, and it's got some really, really funny moments in it. Just what a strange little weird movie. I just love it. It's so strange and weird and fucked up, man. I think a lot of horror fans will really enjoy this movie, so I recommend it. It's on Tubi. You should at least give it a watch. If you're not hooked in 30 minutes, you know, and maybe it's not for you, but I think a lot of people will enjoy it. It's fucking weird, man. I hope you guys have an amazing May, and if this May you want more of our horror movie reviews and stuff that we're going to do coming straight to you so you don't forget about it, click that subscribe button and make sure you click the bell so that YouTube tells you when we make these videos. I love your fucking face, and I hope you guys have an amazing day, an amazing month, and I hope you all get laid. Every fucking one of you. With a fucking pencil. No, I hope you don't. It's not that I hope you get laid with a pimp. I was just making the John Wick because I sounded like Halloween never ends. Suck my fucking dick, and I don't really care what Blumhouse fucking says. Put him in a box or suck a fucking cock. You can say he's dead, but we all know he's not. Yeah. So let's go trick-or-treating, let's go fucking drinking. Let's all go rent Pumpkinhead on VHS. Cause Halloween never ends, Halloween never ends, Halloween never ends, yeah.